Hello, my name is Dave from net4truthusa.com. It is Thursday, May 4th, 2017. Welcome to another Coffee with Dave. Today I want to talk about the root of the problem in the United States government and in the world at large. Now, I'm laying off the coffee this morning because I'm too wrapped up in all of this between Tony going back and forth to the hospital and all that, so I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette. The root of the problem. A wise man once said, I forget who said this, but for every 1,000 people that are hacking at the branches of a problem, there is only one hacking at the root. And we have a lot of people hacking at the branches of a problem, and the weed is still growing. The weeds are still growing. And the root of the problem is the deep state, what is otherwise known as the shadow government, the people who really run this country and indeed the world. These are the bankers, the rich people, the people who control the bullshit money that you have in your pocket that you think is worth something, but really isn't worth anything. Those people, these high echelon individuals, and I'm talking about presidents, vice presidents, members of the Department of Justice, the CIA, the FBI, all of them, people who report or supposedly report on the news, princes, princesses, kings, queens, the whole nine. They're all a bunch of evil bastards. And I make that blanket statement because we have the evidence. Never before in the history of mankind could one person sit in his car, or in my case, in my Jeep, and talk to the world and be heard. We are now over 9,100 subscribers, thank you very much, and over 95,000 people who listen to this channel. The root of the problem is the ability of people in high places to control and dictate the behavior of certain people who are responsible for law enforcement and the maintaining of the order of society. Now, everybody on this planet except one person was a sinner. Everybody is a sinner. Everybody has done something that they are not proud of, would not like to have exposed to the public. Everybody puts on this front, this persona, this thing that we like people to think of us as. And for the most part, our actions dictate what people think of us. But we have a set of people in this country whose persona, whose projected image is not what they really are. These people behind the scenes, behind closed doors where nobody looks, nobody can see, and nobody can listen, are involved in some really sick shit. And that's what we've learned from the Podesta emails, from WikiLeaks, from Julian Assange, and from Guccifer, and from a host of other people who have exposed this double standard or double lifestyle of some of these people. And we can extrapolate from then, from those facts, that the people who are engaged in such stuff behind closed doors, in secret, where nobody sees and nobody listens, can be compromised. And this back when I was in the Air Force back between 1969 and 1972, if you were a homosexual back then, you could not get a security clearance. I had a top secret crypto SSIR clearance, Secret Service Information Restricted. At that time, that clearance was higher than the president. There are security clearances for people who know things that the president cannot be made privy to. And when James Comey gets up there and says, I cannot discuss this because of national security, we have to learn to read between the lines, because to them, national security means their ability to run this country and to run us the way they want. It has nothing to do with foreign threats or things that would make our allies or our soldiers or our citizens vulnerable. It has national security coming out of James Comey's mouth has absolutely not a damn thing to do with the security of the nation as normal people would think of security. Security against invasion, security against attack, security against sedition against the United States government. To them, national security means keeping secret what they and their cronies are doing behind closed doors where nobody sees and nobody listens. That to them is national security. There is, and there has been, and there probably always will be a satanic cult within the higher echelons of government everywhere. And this satanic thing demands the worship of pagan gods that go back to biblical times and sacrificing to biblical gods children. The kidnapping, rape, torture, and ultimate sacrifice to this pagan piece of shit god that they call Molech or Baphomet or whoever the hell you want to call it. Baal, whatever. It goes by different names. It's the same god. It's Lucifer, Satan himself. Now, we cannot have Satan worshippers in charge of our government. Now, some libtards might say, well, that's freedom of religion. Your freedom of religion stops when it encroaches on my rights as a citizen and upon the innocence of helpless children who are sacrificed to your God. And like I said in a previous video, the affinity with Islam and Satan worship is almost inextricable. It's inextricable because Allah is not another word for God. It's not God, Lord, something like that. Allah is the proper name of a pagan idol that was worshipped way before Muhammad even was born. Allah is one of 360 pagan idols that was exposed in a book called The Satanic Verses, and for which the author had a fatwa issued against him. In other words, a contract to kill him. We cannot stand for this crap in this country any longer. We cannot afford to be politically correct any longer. The evil has to be rooted out, exposed for what it was, and the people who are abusing these children, kidnapping them and making them disappear, over 800,000 children disappear in the United States, and the mainstream media refuses to even mention it. What does that tell you? Satanic ritual abuse and sacrifice is real, my friends, and your refusal to believe it doesn't make it any less real and doesn't make it go away. Every minute that goes by, another child is raped, tortured, and sacrificed to a pagan idol that goes back to biblical times. And I have to be mad. I have to be angry. I have to be livid at the United States government, who does not a goddamn thing to stop it. Speaking of which, where is God in all of this? Where is God in all of this? I have no idea. Why the lightnings haven't come down from the heavens hundreds of years ago is beyond me. These people drink the blood of innocent children sacrificed to Molech or to Baphomet or to Baal or whoever the hell it is, the owl out in Bohemian Grove, in some sort of satanic ritual, thinking that that will make them immortal. That is a fact. And the authorities' refusal to act upon it tells you that they are compromised. They are involved with it. Everything the government declares war on is a smokescreen. They declared war on drugs decades ago. And what do we have? The biggest heroin epidemic in God's creation. More people die of drug overdoses than die in wars today. And we say nothing about it. In fact, there's idiots out there that want to legalize all this stuff. Except for marijuana. I am totally against the legalization of drugs. I think if you're a drug dealer, you should be shot on the spot. That's just me. Because they killed my friend Running Wolf back in 1972. And I put 7 of them in jail for natural life back in New Mexico. So make me the drug czar, and I'll call the military to deal with the problem. We can't afford to play games anymore, people. We can't afford to be politically correct. And we can't, with the lives of children involved, play legal games and let people off on legal loopholes. Someone once said in a movie, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court. Well, legal proof, the burden of proof is on the person who's making the accusation. But these child abuse things have gotten so bad that the prosecution of some of these cases, some of these individual cases, has turned into a witch hunt only because they want to distract you from what's really, really going on. The people who are sitting on the bench as judges, who are doling out sentences for minimal stuff they can't even prove. What they do is they scare the defendant into taking a plea. Because to lose at a trial is a certain death sentence. Whether it's 5 years or 10 years or whatever. It's best to risk manage such a situation. And any lawyer, any prosecutor worth his salt, off the record, will tell you that what I'm telling you is true. So we have the irresolvable moral dilemma of having to rescue hundreds and thousands of children a day by acting and by spreading the word. And on the other hand, we run the risk of putting innocent people behind bars for no offense or minimal offense or something that does not create any trauma to a child. There's a few people in jail for nothing. Vincent Jenkins spent 18 years for a rape he didn't commit. He was miles from the crime scene. The witness was coached. The police, forced, for lack of a better word, brainwashed this girl to pick him out of a lineup, and a jury convicted him. But DNA exonerated him years later. So, I am a firm believer, if you catch somebody red-handed, why is there a need for a trial? We have the technology of video cameras that would prove to a judge that this person did indeed do the act that is alleged, and we don't need juries to interpret videotapes. Just send them off to wherever you got to send them off to. And these people who are involved in ritual satanic abuse, they don't get caught because the babies and the children that they are abusing are children of children of children that were disappeared, kidnapped and disappeared long, long ago. So there is no record of their births. There's no record of their even existing. So when they are abused, when they are sacrificed to this pagan god, their bodies can be disposed of in a number of ways that leave no trace. And nobody knows that they even existed. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody misses them because nobody except the people abusing them have ever seen them. And that's what's going on in the world today. That's why we have to abolish all government. All government. We don't need it. As long as I have my weapons, nobody is coming to overthrow me. As long as you have your weapons, nobody is coming to threaten you. Remember that a gun in your hand is better than a cop on the phone. Police have their place. They respond to things that have already happened. There is no such thing as crime prevention. You can tell someone, if you do this crime, we will hang you, we will crucify you upside down, set you on fire, give you battery acid enemas, will torture you to death slowly so it takes you a month to die, and they'll still go out and commit that crime. Why? Because they figure they're smarter than you are. They figure that they are the only ones that are able to get away with it because they are so smart or they are so connected. And that's what's happening with John Podesta and all his sick friends, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, that other guy, Epstein, that's out on the island there somewhere. That's what's happening with them. Sorry for the interruption. I was interrupted there by a phone call, and I'm home now. This is why it is important that we pursue this matter, because these people have so much money that they can pay to have their crimes covered up or ignored by the mainstream media. These stories would make Pulitzer Prize material for any journalist who has the gomas y llamas to pursue it. We've only seen one so far, and he disappeared. So now we have to strike at the root of the problem. The root of the problem, quite simply, is that our politicians, a large number of them, are compromised. They are compromised by things that they've done that was captured on videotape, and it is being held against them by the powers that be, the deep state, the shadow government, whatever you want to call it, which does exist, and they will do the deep state's bidding, or they will be exposed for what they've done. And it's quite simple. You get rid of the people who are compromised, and you will begin to have people in the government who are free to act in the interests of the American people. And we haven't had that in this government, or on this planet for that matter, for a very, very long time. So this is why this medium right here, this venue, wherever it goes, whether YouTube fails eventually because of lack of advertiser participation or their censorship of channels like mine, and I've demonstrated that in a previous video, and you've seen many, many videos that prove this beyond any doubt whatsoever. The advertisers are not pulling out. YouTube is demonetizing us because we speak the truth. We are not afraid to speak the truth. And that's why we have to either do one of two things. We have to find an alternate way of getting the message out, or do it for free. Right now, what my YouTube revenue is generating doesn't even pay the bandwidth that it takes to do this. So we depend on contributions to pay the bills, at least pay the bills. And my subscribership has quadrupled, and my revenue from YouTube videos ad monetizing has gone down to about $1.50 a day. Would you do this for $1.50 a day? I wouldn't. I do it because I want to. I do it because it is my moral obligation to see to it that this gets exposed. If it wasn't for this medium, we would have Hillary Clinton in the White House and business as usual. This is Dave from net4truthusa.com. If you like these videos, go down in the description section. We have Patreon, PayPal, and GoFundMe. Please help us stay solvent here and pass this on. Thank you very much for watching.